November 14, 1944, 0635 hours. The eastern edge of the Hürtgen Forest, 900 yards south of the village of Schmidt, Germany. A U.S. Army rifle platoon is pinned in a shallow draw, no deeper than 3 feet, cut into frozen clay. The temperature is 34 degrees Fahrenheit. A steady rain has turned the forest floor into slurry. Visibility is less than 40 yards. German artillery is registering by sound, not sight. The platoon has no rearward route. The trail behind them collapsed at 0612 hours when a 105mm round brought down 3 spruce trees across a 6-foot wide cut. 2 men were crushed. 1 is still breathing. The radio wire was severed at the same moment. The SCR 300 has been silent since. Forward movement is blocked by a cleared fire lane, 120 yards of open ground, waist-high brush, interlocking machine gun fire from at least 3 positions. The Germans have pre-registered the lane. Every movement draws immediate response. Surrender is irrational. The unit has been firing for over an hour. Their positions are known. Their uniforms are visible against the wet leaves. White flags are required standing upright. No German infantry has closed to accept prisoners. Only machine gun fire and timed artillery. Death is the expected outcome. Ammunition is finite. Time is not. At 0638 hours, a mortar round lands 10 yards short. The concussion kills 1 man outright and blinds another. The platoon's effective strength drops to 14. At 0640 hours, the Germans shift fire 15 yards to the left. This is correction, not suppression. The Americans have been here too long. They are outnumbered by an unknown factor, but sound and volume suggest at least a reinforced German company. 80 men, possibly more. Waffen-SS elements have been reported in the sector since the previous evening. The platoon leader checks his watch. The glass is cracked. He cannot remember when it happened. There is no air support. Low cloud ceiling at 600 feet. No armor. The nearest tank was lost 2 days earlier to a mine on the same trail. Orders, if any still exist, were to take the ridge by noon. It is now 0642. The German fire tightens. 6 years earlier, in 1938, the man who would be lying in that draw was civilian. His name was Staff Sergeant Harold Eugene Klein, born February 12, 1916. Dayton, Ohio, 3rd of 4 children. His father worked maintenance for the Pennsylvania Railroad. His mother kept the house and took in sewing when money ran short. Klein finished high school in 1934. Average grades. No record of disciplinary issues. He did not attend college. In 1935, he took a job as a stock clerk at a Montgomery Ward warehouse on the south side of Dayton. 48 hours a week, $18.75 in pay. He lived at home until 1939, contributed to rent, walked to work. Sundays were spent at St. Henry's Parish, then dinner with extended family. There is no evidence of political interest, no foreign travel, no military background in the immediate family. In the summer of 1940, after France fell, overtime at the warehouse increased. Consumer demand rose. Klein was promoted to shift supervisor. He was responsible for 12 men and the accurate tally of incoming freight. Mistakes were docked from pay. He married in October 1940. His wife, Margaret Lewis, worked as a typist for a local insurance firm. They rented a 2-room apartment on Xenia Avenue. Heat was cold. Water was shared with the unit next door. There were no discussions of war plans, no anticipation of combat. The draft registration in October 1940 was treated as paperwork. Klein listed his occupation, height, weight, 5 feet 10 inches, 168 pounds, brown hair, no scars. After Pearl Harbor, on December 7, 1941, the warehouse closed early. Workers gathered around a radio near the loading bay. The next morning, Klein reported as usual. 2 weeks later, he received his induction notice. He did not volunteer. He did not resist. He entered active service on January 14, 1942. At that point, he was replaceable, one of hundreds of thousands. His file contained no distinguishing remarks, No commendations. No warnings. He left Ohio by train. Margaret stood on the platform. No photographs were taken. Film was rationed. The train departed at 0917 hours. For the next 3 years, his civilian life ceased to be relevant. Klein completed basic training at Camp Wheeler, Georgia. 8 weeks. Infantry replacement pipeline. Rifle marksmanship was adequate. Qualification score, marksman M1 Garand. Grenade throwing was below average. Physical conditioning rated satisfactory. In April 1942, he was assigned to Company B, 3rd Battalion, 112th Infantry Regiment, 28th Infantry Division. The division shoulder patch, a red keystone, meant nothing to him at the time. The unit was short of experienced non-commissioned officers. Promotions were administrative, not selective. He was promoted to corporal in October 1942 after a training accident broke the platoon sergeant's leg. There was no ceremony. He assumed responsibility for a rifle squad of 12. The division remained stateside through most of 1943. Louisiana maneuvers, live-fire exercises, long marches in heat exceeding 90 degrees. Equipment shortages were routine. Rifles were shared. Radios were scarce. Training emphasized movement and control, but time was insufficient. In October 1943, the division embarked for England. Arrival at Cardiff, Wales, November 8th. Rain, mud, British rations, continued drills, night movements. Klein was promoted to staff sergeant in March 1944 to fill a vacancy created by transfer. Again, no ceremony. The division landed in Normandy on July 22, 1944, D+46. They did not assault the beaches. They entered through cleared sectors near Omaha. The countryside was hedgerow and sunken lanes. German resistance was fragmented but persistent. Their first sustained combat occurred near St. Lo. On July 28th, Company B advanced across 300 yards of open pasture under intermittent mortar fire. 2 men were killed. 1 bled out from a femoral wound before aid arrived. Klein was responsible for securing the body until dark. He later reported difficulty sleeping. In August, during the breakout, the tempo increased. The regiment advanced rapidly, then halted abruptly. On August 19th, near Argenton, Klein's platoon encountered a group of German soldiers attempting to surrender under fire from another American unit. Confusion lasted less than 30 seconds. 3 Germans were killed after dropping their weapons. The incident was not formally investigated. In September, the division moved into Luxembourg. Terrain changed. Forested hills, narrow roads. Rain returned. German resistance stiffened as they approached the border. On October 2nd, 1944, near the village of Hosingen, Klein's platoon was ordered to hold a road junction overnight. At 2,310 hours, German infantry infiltrated through the trees. Fighting occurred at ranges under 20 yards. One of Klein's men fired his entire ammunition, load into movement he later could not identify. At dawn, 4 German bodies were found within 10 yards of position. One was estimated to be under 18 years old. Klein did not speak about it. He began checking his men's ammunition compulsively. He kept count without writing it down. He slept lightly, often sitting upright. By early November, the division was ordered into the Hürtgen Forest. The objective was terrain denial, not breakthrough. Dense woodland, poor maps. German defenses were prepared and concealed. Casualties mounted without visible progress. On November 13, 1944, Company B moved out before dawn. The order was to advance toward Schmidt and secure the ridge line. Resistance was expected to be light. It was not. By nightfall, the company had lost over 40% of its strength. Communications were intermittent. Artillery support was limited by tree cover. Klein assumed temporary command of the platoon after the lieutenant was evacuated with shrapnel wounds. He did not question the assignment. He redistributed ammunition. He marked positions by sound. The events of the previous months had narrowed his focus. Orders were interpreted conservatively. Movement was minimized. Exposure was avoided when possible. These habits would matter. At first light on November 14th, the platoon moved forward into the draw. November 14th, 1944, 6:42 hours. Hürtgen Forest. Staff Sergeant Klein is prone in the draw. Mud has soaked through his field jacket. His left glove is missing. He does not remember when he lost it. His watch reads 6:41. He knows it is slow by approximately 1 minute. The platoon's remaining ammunition is uneven. 2 men have fewer than 20 rounds each. 1 bar has 1 magazine left. The other jammed at 6:33 and has not been cleared. There are 3 fragmentation grenades remaining. 1 smoke grenade. Color: white. At 6:43, German machine gun fire shifts again. The right flank is raked for 6 seconds. This is not random. It is probing. Klein crawls 2 yards to his left to check Private First Class Donnelly. Donnelly is shaking, not violently. His rifle is pointed toward the tree line, but his finger is outside the trigger guard. He has not fired in several minutes. Klein does not correct him. He only asks for ammunition count. Donnelly answers after a delay. 12. At 6:44, the wounded man crushed by the falling trees stops breathing. No one acknowledges it. There is no movement to recover the body. The draw is too shallow. Any vertical movement draws fire. The radio remains silent. The handset cord was cut cleanly. Klein has already checked it twice. There is no alternate frequency to try. The wire team was killed the previous afternoon. At 6:45, artillery begins to fall behind the draw. German fire has bracketed the position. Rounds are landing at 25-yard intervals. The next adjustment will be on target. Klein considers movement. Forward is 120 yards of exposed ground. No cover. The Germans have overlapping fields of fire. Left and right are impassable due to fallen timber and mines laid without markers. Rearward movement would require climbing over fallen trees under observation. Casualty estimates for any option exceed 50%. He does not consider retreat as a maneuver. There is no time to organize it. He does not consider surrender. No German infantry has approached. The last known Waffen-SS unit in the sector took no prisoners 2 days earlier. At 6:46, a mortar round lands short again. Dirt and fragments strike 3 men. One begins screaming. Klein orders him to stay down. The order is ignored. The man tries to rise and is hit twice by machine gun fire. He collapses forward. The screaming stops. This changes nothing tactically. It changes the sound environment. There is now less noise. At 6:47, Klein makes a decision based on arithmetic, not hope. He orders a smoke grenade prepared. The thrower's arm is shaking. Klein takes it himself. He checks the wind. Minimal. Trees block most drift. The smoke will last approximately 90 seconds. At 6:48, he throws the grenade toward the center of the fire lane. It lands short at approximately 70 yards. White smoke begins to spread unevenly. German fire intensifies immediately. They are firing into the smoke by sound. Ammunition expenditure increases. This is confirmation of enemy strength. Multiple weapons. Sustained fire. Klein does not order a general advance. He orders a split movement. For men, including himself, will move forward 10 yards at a time. The rest will fire controlled bursts to maintain noise discipline. It is not an attack. It is displacement. At 6:49, the first movement begins. 2 men freeze halfway. Klein reaches back and kicks one in the boot. The man crawls forward. No words are exchanged. At 6:50, the smoke thins. German fire adjusts downward. One of the 4 moving men is hit in the shoulder. He drops his rifle. Klein drags him 3 yards into a shell scrape. The man is alive but not functional. At 6:51, Klein signals the next movement with his hand. It is ignored. He repeats it. There is hesitation. Fatigue is visible in delayed responses. Training degrades under sustained stress. At 6:52, Klein stands up. He does not shout. He does not fire. He moves forward at a walk for approximately 5 steps, then drops and fires 8 rounds toward a machine gun position identified earlier by muzzle flash. The act is deliberate. It is meant to draw fire. It works. German fire concentrates on his position. This allows the remaining men to move 10 yards forward without immediate engagement. At 6:53, Klein is hit once in the thigh. Entry wound only. He does not fall immediately. He fires for more rounds, then collapses. At 6:54, the platoon's forward elements reach a shallow depression at the edge of the fire lane. It is marginally deeper than the draw. It offers concealment from direct fire. German artillery lands on Klein's last position at 6:55. He is no longer there. November 14, 1944. 7:10 hours. German fire decreases in volume but not accuracy. The machine guns shift focus to the newly occupied depression. Artillery continues to fall in a loose pattern, now oriented forward the original draw. The Germans assume continued movement. They are partially correct. Of the original platoon strength of 28 men, 11 are still capable of movement. 4 are wounded but conscious. 13 are dead or missing. 2 bodies remain in the draw. 1 lies in the fire lane. Recovery is impossible. Ammunition status at 7:12 is critically low. The remaining bar has 14 rounds. Average rifle ammunition per man is 9 rounds. 1 man carries none. He is issued a carbine with a cracked stock and 2 magazines scavenged from the wounded. Staff Sergeant Klein is found at 7:14. He is alive. Blood loss is significant but controlled by a field dressing applied by Private Donnelly, who crawled back under fire against orders. The thigh wound has fractured the femur. Klein is lucid but pale. He cannot stand. German artillery ceases at 7:18. This is not mercy. It is reallocation. Fire is heard shifting north toward another American unit attempting to advance on the same ridge. At 7:21, German infantry probes a fire lane. 2 figures are seen briefly at approximately 90 yards. No shots are fired by the Americans. There is no ammunition to spare. The Germans withdraw after 30 seconds. They do not press the position. At 7:30, a runner from Company C reaches a depression. He arrived by accident, following a misread map reference. He reports that the battalion advance has stalled across the sector. Casualties are heavy. No reinforcement is coming. At 7:42, orders are relayed verbally. The remaining elements of the platoon are to hold their current ground until nightfall. No evacuation is possible before dark. Artillery support is unavailable due to uncertain grid coordinates and proximity to friendly positions. Klein is informed of the order. He nods once. He does not ask questions. He requests an ammunition count. It is given. At 8:05, German small arms fire resumes intermittently. Sniping, not assault. 1 American is hit in the hand at 8:17. No return fire is made. By 10:30, rain increases. Temperature drops to 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Wet uniforms begin to stiffen. Hypothermia becomes a secondary concern. At 12 o'clock, the platoon still holds a depression. German forces have not advanced in strength. Terrain gained is measured in yards. Approximately 35 yards forward of the original draw. No tactical breakthrough has occurred. Casualty figures for the engagement are finalized later that evening. American casualties. Killed in action, 11. Wounded in action, 9. Missing, 2. German casualties are unknown. Post-war estimates suggest fewer than 15. Ammunition expended by the platoon between 6:30 and 7 o'clock hours. Rifle ammunition, approximately 1,100 rounds. Bar ammunition, approximately 480 rounds. Grenades, 3 fragmentation, 1 smoke. The ridge near Schmidt remains in German hands until November 17th. No medals are recommended at company level. The action is recorded as a limited advance under heavy resistance. 1 paragraph in the battalion after-action report notes temporary forward displacement under NCO initiative. Staff Sergeant Klein is evacuated at 18:40 hours after dark. He is carried on a litter for 1,200 yards to a regimental aid station. He loses consciousness en route. The platoon ceases to exist as a functional unit. Staff Sergeant Harold Eugene Klein is transported through a chain of medical facilities over the next 6 weeks. On November 15, 1944, he is admitted to the 44th Evacuation Hospital. X-rays confirm a fractured femur with extensive soft tissue damage. There is no arterial severance. Infection is the primary concern. He undergoes surgery at 21:30 hours. The procedure lasts 1 hour and 40 minutes. In December, he is transferred to a general hospital in Reims. By January 1945, he is moved to England. He does not return to the line. The Hürtgen Forest campaign continues without him. The regiment sustains further losses in December during the German counteroffensive in the Ardennes. Klein's leg heals slowly. He walks with a limp for the remainder of his life. There is no disability pension beyond the standard rating. He does not contest it. He returns to the United States in August 1945. He is discharged on September 3rd. His rank remains Staff Sergeant. His service record lists no decorations beyond the European Campaign Medal, with 2 Bronze Service Stars and a Combat Infantryman Badge. He returns to Dayton. The warehouse has expanded during the war. His former position no longer exists. He takes a job as a shipping clerk at a smaller firm. The pay is lower than before. Margaret meets him at the train station. The time is recorded in no document. There are no photographers. They return to the same neighborhood. The apartment is different. The water is now private. Klein does not join veterans organizations. He attends no reunions. He does not speak publicly about the war. He keeps his uniform in a box. His rifle qualification badge is still attached. He never removes it. In 1948, he and Margaret have a son. In 1951, a daughter. He works consistently. He misses some days in winter when the leg stiffens. He tells his employer it is an old injury. He does not specify where. There are no interviews, no memoirs, no recorded statements. In 1972, he is briefly contacted by a regimental historian compiling a unit history. He responds with a short letter, 3 sentences. He confirms dates. He corrects a map reference. He offers no commentary. He dies in 1984 at the age of 68. Cause of death is listed as cardiac failure. His military service is noted in the obituary. No unit is mentioned. At the cemetery, a small metal marker identifies his rank and war. Nothing else. To be continued. Part 7, Final Reflection. The action near Schmidt on November 14th. 1944 does not alter the course of the war. The ridge is taken days later at higher cost, then abandoned. The forest remained contested until early 1945, when German forces withdraw for reasons unrelated to the ground gained there. In official records, the engagement is indistinct, one of dozens recorded that week. Times, grid references, casualty figures, no narrative emphasis, no analysis beyond standard phrasing. Staff Sergeant Klein's decision at 6:52 hours is not classified as bravery. It is not framed as sacrifice. It is logged as initiative under fire. The term carries no emotional weight. It describes a deviation from instruction in response to circumstances. The platoon survives in fragments. The ground held is measured. The losses are counted. The operation continues. What remains is a pattern repeated across the war. Individuals making irreversible judgments under conditions where information is incomplete, options are exhausted, and outcomes are largely predetermined. These decisions rarely change strategic results. They only redistribute who lives long enough to leave the field. In this case, 11 men do not. One does.